Here's a pretty good looking swarm satellite pass starting up here. It's a satellite called Space B70 and headed up our direction towards Stanton on the map there. Getting updated every 5 seconds. See, the elevation there is 24 degrees right now. Elevation above the horizon. 26 degrees now. 27. Continuing to go up as Space B70 gets closer to Stanton. I would expect this to be a satellite pass where my little swarm transceiver would be able to upload at least some of its 6 messages that are sitting there, email messages that are sitting there on it, waiting to be uploaded to the satellite. Then, of course, the satellite has to travel to a place where it's over a ground station to download the messages that it's picked up along the way. And I don't know where the ground stations are, but it seems like they are not too far from here. There's one because it's on the East Coast. You can see how big the footprint of the satellite is. That is, inside that circle is all the places it can communicate. Well, it's where that satellite is above the horizon, all those locations. So that's a low Earth orbit satellite. So its footprint is not as big as would be if it were geostationary, for example, or you'd hold half of a planet at a time. Now we're up to 54 degrees elevation, so that's pretty good. Looks like this is maybe going to be one where we'll have some messages picked up. And after the pass is over, we'll check that to see if how many if any of the messages have been uploaded. So the Swarm satellite transceiver that I'm using to send email to the satellites generates its own Wi-Fi network, which is right here designated as Swarm 1032. And I'm going to connect with the transceiver using Telnet here, and the URL is specified here. And I'm just going to click on open to open up a connection, hopefully with the satellite transceiver. Now, the Wi-Fi network is constantly broadcasting information about the transceiver, its latitude and longitude, its the date. Also, the RSSI is the received signal strength indicator for noise, and so you want that to be as small as possible. Negative 93 is supposedly acceptable, and smaller values are even better. So that's a signal strength for noise. It's a very low power transmitter, 4 watts or less, and very small antenna, just a little, about less than a foot long whip, and using the photo cells, solar panels, as ground plane. So it's not definitely not a real high power setup. So it needs signals to be fairly strong, and that means background noise has to be as low as possible for it to work. But it's working fine here in my front yard in Stanton. We're using the NMEA, the National Maritime Electronics Association standards for communication, which they developed in order to facilitate communication with GPS receivers so that you could query them and get information from them. And so it's a communication protocol, and I've got 2 commands here that I want to send to the transceiver. One of them is going to give me the count of unsent messages. I had 6 messages in there, and I'd like to see that count to be 0, meaning it communicated with satellites that were flying over, as we were seeing previously. And that's the first command, $MT for messages to transmit. C equals U means give me a count of the unsent messages. And the asterisk separates the checksum, which is 1, 2 in this case. It's hexadecimal, so that's 16 plus 2 is 18. Okay. And that's the first command. The second one, I want to know about the status of the power. I want to and the voltage mainly of the battery. Want it to be greater than or equal to 3.3 volts. So that command $PW and the @ sign and then an asterisk and then a checksum of 67. Anyway, I've copied those, and I think I probably better copy it again just to make sure. Okay, I want to enter those commands into the Telnet session here. I'm just going to select the Telnet session and then do a shift insert and then an enter. So there are the commands, and I immediately got a response here. The response looks a lot like the original command. It's a $MT and then a 0 followed by an asterisk and a checksum. So 0 unsent messages. That means all 6 messages were sent. And then the power information is right below that, the $PW, 3.4 volts. That's good. It's bigger than 3.3. And then the temperature, 13 degrees Celsius. So above freezing anyway. Okay. So we were successful in sending our messages. The satellites received them. At least one, maybe more than one satellite are involved in picking up those 6 messages, and they'll get over a ground station and transmit them down to the ground station, and then through the interwebs to all of those who are recipients of my emails. And here's the star of the show. You see the solar panel and the antenna on top, and down bolted to the back of the solar panel is all the electronics, the satellite modem and the Adafruit microcontroller that's controlling it and generating the Wi-Fi network. And up there somewhere are the Space Bee satellites.